People died mysteriously in Ikeja, Lagos, and after their burial, they would appear in Miss Folashade's shop and start sewing clothes. No one suspected her because her work was so good. Every lace perfect, every stitch like magic. Until one night, Bimpe, her most trusted apprentice, stayed behind and discovered the terrible truth.
The way Bimpe ran for her life. What she saw that night, she will never forget it for the rest of her life. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you to where all of this started. But before we begin, please like and subscribe to this channel and also comment where you are watching from. I want to know how far this wonderful story has gone, so I'll be inspired to create more wonderful stories like this. Now, sit down, relax, and let's begin. In the heart of Ikeja, Lagos, there stood a tailoring shop that everyone knew. The sign outside said in bold letters, Miss Folashade's Fashion Empire. We deliver miracles. A miracle was the correct word though. Miss Folashade was not just any tailor. She was the tailor. The woman every bride wanted, every big man's wife begged to sew for them. Her shop was a 3-story building. The ground floor was the main shop with 50 sewing machines. The first floor was for cutting and design. And the top floor, we will talk about that one later. But the thing that shocked everybody was her speed. You could bring your wedding dress at 7 p.m. today, full lace, beads, stones, everything, and collect it 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Perfect, no mistakes. The beadwork so fine like angels did it. People will ask, Madam Folashade, how do you do it? She will just smile, adjust her expensive head wrap, and say, my dear, God and hard work. God and hard work indeed. But let me tell you how Miss Folashade became Miss Folashade. 15 years ago, she was just Folashade, a struggling tailor in a small shop in Mushin. Her husband had left her with 3 children. Rent was due. Her landlord was knocking every day. Her children were crying for food. Her sewing machine was old and breaking down every week. One night, she was crying in her shop when an old woman passed by. The woman was bent like a question mark, wearing all black. Why are you crying? The old woman asked. Folashade explained her problems. No customers, no money, children hungry. The old woman smiled with brown teeth. I can help you, but the help has a price. Anything, Folashade said. I will do anything. The old woman gave her a small mirror wrapped in black cloth and a bottle of red oil. Rub this oil on the mirror every midnight for 7 days, the old woman said. Call the names of people who have died, people you know. Tell them you need workers. When they come work for you, you must feed them every morning at 5 a.m. before anybody reaches your shop. And every night after everybody has gone, you must arrange them properly. They will work for you endlessly, no complaints, no salary. But remember, if anybody discovers your secret, everything will collapse. And all those people who died because of you, their families will see you. Folashade nodded. She was desperate. One more thing, the old woman said as she turned to leave. Every month, one person who wears your clothes will die. That one will come join your workers. Chai. For 7 nights, Folashade did as the old woman said. She rubbed the red oil on the mirror and called names. Mama Bisola from our street who died last year, come. Uncle Taju who was killed in an accident, come. Sister Gloria who died from sickness, come. On the 7th night, as she finished calling the last name, the mirror began to glow, and inside it she saw them. Grey figures, standing still, waiting. The first person to die after wearing her cloth was her own brother, Kunle. He had collected a shirt from her the week before. One morning, he just collapsed at the bus stop. Heart attack, the doctor said. He was only 35. At his burial, Folashade cried and cried. But that night, when she looked into her mirror,
She saw Kule standing with the other ghosts. His eyes were empty. His skin was grey like ash. "Kule," she whispered, "I'm sorry." He did not answer. He could not answer. He just stood there, waiting for instructions. After that, her business began to explode. Every dress perfect, every delivery on time. People were shocked. Rich women from Ikoyi and Victoria Island started coming. Politicians' wives, celebrities, everyone wanted Miss Folashade to sew for them. And every month, without fail, someone died. A bride 2 weeks after her wedding, a big man at his birthday party, a young girl on her graduation day. Always someone who wore her cloth. Let me tell you how the ghosts worked. Every night, after her 6 living apprentices, Bimpe, Tunde, Shede, Chiamaka, Emeka, and Halima, went home, Miss Folashade would lock all the doors. She would go to the top floor, the place nobody was allowed to enter. There, she kept the mirror. She would stand before it and command, "Wake up, time to work." And they would come, not physically, but in spirit. 27 ghosts, all people who had died after wearing her clothes. They would enter the sewing machines downstairs, and the machines would start moving by themselves. Needles flying, cloth cutting, beads attaching, all through the night. The machines were so loud, but nobody could hear them from outside. It was like the sound stayed trapped inside the building. By 4:30 a.m., all the work would be finished. Miss Folashade would go downstairs and inspect everything. Then at exactly 5 a.m., she would do the feeding ritual. She would cook a big pot of eba and soup. No salt, no seasoning, just white and tasteless. She would dish it into 27 plates and put them on the floor of the shop. Then she would pour water into 27 cups. "Eat," she would command the mirror. "Drink." The food would disappear slowly, like invisible mouths were eating it. Within 10 minutes, all the plates would be empty. Then she would wash the plates, hide them, and wait for her apprentices to arrive at 7 a.m. Bimpe had been working for Miss Folashade for 3 years. She was the senior apprentice, the one Miss Folashade trusted most. She was 24 years old, sharp, and very observant. Bimpe noticed many strange things. First, the work was always ready in the morning, but she never saw who did it. Miss Folashade would say, "I worked all night," but she never looked tired. Her eyes were always fresh. Second, sometimes early in the morning, when Bimpe arrived at 6:50 a.m., she would hear the sound of plates clinking upstairs. When she asked, Miss Folashade would say, "I'm just washing my breakfast plates." Bed, customers kept dying. Bimpe went to 4 burials in 2 months. All people who had collected clothes from the shop recently. Fourth, there was the top floor. Nobody was allowed there, ever. Miss Folashade kept the key on a chain around her neck, even when she slept. One day, Bimpe's own cousin, Jennifer, collected traditional wedding attire from Miss Folashade's shop for her introduction ceremony. 1 week later, Jennifer died in her sleep. Just like that, the doctors found nothing wrong with her. At the burial, something inside Bimpe broke. She remembered Jennifer laughing, spinning in her new outfit, saying, "Bimpe, this cloth is so beautiful. Miss Folashade's hand is blessed." That night, Bimpe made a decision. She would discover the truth. Bimpe planned everything carefully. She told Miss Folashade she was traveling to her village for the weekend, but instead, on Friday night, she hid inside the bathroom on the first floor before closing time. At 8 p.m., she heard Miss Folashade lock up and tell everyone good night. Then she heard footsteps going upstairs to the top floor. Bimpe waited 30 minutes. Then she crept out of the bathroom.
The whole building was dark except for a dim light coming from under the door of the top floor. She climbed the stairs slowly, her heart beating like a talking drum. As she got closer to the top floor, she began to hear sounds, many sewing machines running at the same time. But she also heard something else, whispers, many voices whispering together, but no words, just sounds like wind passing through dry leaves. She reached the top floor. The door was locked, but there was a small window beside it. She peeked through. Chai, what she saw that night she will never forget till she dies. Downstairs, all 50 sewing machines were working by themselves. The needles were moving up and down. Cloth was being cut and stitched. But nobody was sitting at the machines. Nobody human, that is. Around each machine, Bimpe could see grey shadows, human-shaped but not quite human. Their movements were stiff like robots. Their faces had no expression. Their eyes were empty holes. They walked mechanically, picking up cloth, feeding it into the machine, cutting, sewing, moving to the next task. And in the middle of the shop floor stood Miss Folashade with the mirror in her hands, watching them all like a supervisor. But the worst part, the part that made Bimpe nearly scream, was that she recognized some of the grey shadows. There was Jennifer, her cousin, sewing beads onto a dress with those empty eyes. There was Mama Bisola from their street. There was Kunle, Miss Folashade's own brother. There was Mr. Ibrahim, who had died last month after his daughter's wedding. All of them, walking in silence. Bimpe covered her mouth with both hands. Tears poured from her eyes. She stumbled backward, hit the wall, and made a sound. Miss Folashade's head snapped up. "Who is there?" Her voice was sharp. Bimpe ran. She flew down the stairs and hid in the storage room, her whole body shaking. She heard Miss Folashade's footsteps coming down, searching. But eventually, Miss Folashade went back upstairs. Bimpe stayed in that storage room until morning, planning what to do next. At 4:45 a.m., Bimpe heard Miss Folashade coming downstairs again. She peeked through a crack in the storage room door. Miss Folashade went to a hidden cabinet and brought out 27 plates and cups. She dished eba and soup onto the plates. Bimpe counted them. 27 plates of white, tasteless food. Then Miss Folashade arranged them on the floor in a circle. She stood in the middle with her mirror, closed her eyes and began to chant. "Those I called, those I enslaved, eat, drink." The food began to disappear from the plates, slowly, like invisible mouths were chewing. Bimpe watched it all. Her body turned cold. When Miss Folashade finished and started washing the plates, Bimpe finally understood everything. Bimpe waited until the next Monday. She gathered all the other apprentices, Tunde, Shade, Chiamaka, Emeka, and Halima, and told them everything she had seen. At first, they didn't believe her. "Bimpe, you have watched too many Nollywood films," Tunde said. "Are you sure you are not dreaming?" Chiamaka asked. But Shade, the quiet one, said softly, "My auntie died last month. She wore Madame's cloth to church that Sunday. By Tuesday, she was dead." One by one, they all remembered someone, a friend, a relative, a customer who had died mysteriously after wearing Miss Folashade's clothes. "So what will we do?" Emeka asked. Bimpe had a plan. That Friday, Bimpe told Miss Folashade that her phone had fallen behind one of the sewing machines and she needed to come back in the evening to get it. "No problem," Miss Folashade said, "but make sure you leave before 8 p.m. "Yes, ma." But Bimpe didn't leave. She hid again, and this time she had a camera, her phone camera fully charged. At 9 p.m., when the ghost workers came out and the machines started working by themselves, Bimpe recorded everything through the window. The grey figures, the empty eyes, the mechanical movements, Jennifer's face, all of it. Then, on Saturday morning, Bimpe posted the video on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
everywhere. She tagged Lagos state government, she tagged news channels, she tagged celebrity customers. The caption said, "This is how Miss Folashade's fashion empire works. These are the ghosts of people who died after wearing her clothes. My cousin Jennifer is there. Your relatives may be there too." Within 2 hours, the video went viral. By Saturday afternoon, the street outside Miss Folashade's shop was packed with people. Hundreds of them. People who had lost family members, people who had collected clothes from the shop, journalists, police, traditional priests, pastors, alphas, everyone. Miss Folashade tried to run, but they blocked all the roads. She was trapped inside her shop. The police broke down the door, the crowd rushed in. They searched everywhere until they found the stairs to the top floor. "Open this door," the police commander shouted. Miss Folashade stood at the top of the stairs, holding the mirror and a bottle of red oil. Her expensive head wrap was crooked. Her face was wet with tears and sweat. "Please," she begged. "I was poor. I was desperate. I needed to feed my children." "You fed your children with our..." someone in the crowd shouted. A woman pushed forward, Jennifer's mother. "My daughter, my only daughter. She wore your clothes and the next week. Where is she? Where is my Jennifer?" More people started shouting. The noise was like thunder. Miss Folashade backed away. She raised the mirror above her head and screamed, "If I break this, they will all be free, but you will never see them again. Never." "Then break it," someone shouted. "Free them from your wickedness." For a long moment, Miss Folashade just stood there, shaking. Then slowly, tears pouring down her face, she threw the mirror down. It shattered on the floor with a sound like a scream. The moment it broke, the whole building shook. A cold wind rushed through every room. All 50 sewing machines started running at once, their needles moving so fast they became a blur. Then one by one, they exploded, sparks flying, wheels breaking off, tables collapsing. People ran, screaming. The building was shaking like an earthquake. And then they saw them, the ghosts. Not grey shadows anymore. Now everyone could see them clearly. 27 people standing in the shop looking around confused, as if they had just woken up from a long sleep. "Jennifer!" her mother screamed, reaching for her. But the moment anyone tried to touch them, the ghosts began to fade. Their forms became transparent like smoke. Jennifer looked at her mother one last time. Her lips moved, forming silent words. "I'm sorry, Mama." Then she was gone. All of them were gone, just like that.
Miss Folashade collapsed on the floor, sobbing. The police arrested her, but what could they charge her with? What law covered using ghosts as workers? In the end, they charged her with fraud and negligence, all they could prove legally. But the real punishment was different. Over the next few weeks, everything Miss Folashade owned began to rot. Her expensive house in Lekki, the paint peeled off, the walls cracked, water flooded the rooms. Her cars, all 5 of them, broke down the same day, engines smoking. Her bank accounts somehow drained, transactions she didn't make, money disappearing to nowhere. The 3-story shop building started sinking into the ground, tilting to one side like a drunk man. The government had to demolish it before it killed someone. And Miss Folashade herself? She's still alive. She lives in Mushin again, in a single room, the same area where she started. But nobody will hire her. Nobody will talk to her. When she walks on the street, people step away. Children point at her and whisper, "Ghost woman." Her own children changed their names and moved abroad. They want nothing to do with her. Every night, she sees them in her dreams, all 27 ghosts standing around her bed, staring at her with those empty eyes. She wakes up screaming. The neighbors say sometimes at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., they hear her in her room crying and begging for forgiveness. My people, you see why I say you should listen well? This story teaches us something important. In this Lagos, in this Nigeria, pressure is real. We all want to succeed. We all want to make it. We see people succeeding quickly and we wonder how.
But some shortcuts are not shortcuts, they are traps. Some success is not success. It is a curse wrapped in gold paper. Today, if you enter any big shop, any big business, and you see that the owner is too successful too quickly, just ask yourself small questions. How? Who paid the price? What sacrifice was made? Because in this life, you cannot cheat the system forever. What goes around must come around. And you know the saddest part? Even now, even after everything, there are people in Lagos looking for that same old woman in black. People ready to make the same deal. People who don't believe this story or who think, but I will be smarter, I will not get caught. If you are one of those people, remember Miss Folashade. Remember how she sits in that single room in motion, talking to ghosts that nobody else can see. Remember that some prices are too high to pay, and some success is not worth having. This is where the story ends. But the lesson? The lesson should never end.